Hello, here's how to play the Tabi Po card game. To start the game, we must first create the forest where the characters will play in. These cards are called chapter cards. Basically, these are the creatures and a bunch of challenges the players will encounter in the forest. Shuffle and draw 10 chapter cards, then place them face down on here to the far left. This will be the chapter deck or the forest deck. Next, these are the boss cards, which will be the final card of the game. Choose one boss card to defeat by the end of the game and place the chosen card underneath the chapter deck. This is the intro card. To finish the forest, place the intro card on top of the chapter deck. Next, these are the item cards. Items can give you special abilities that can help you survive in the forest. There are a total of 25 item cards that you can use during the game. Place the item deck here on the right side of the chapter deck. These are character cards, which will be the group of characters that will play in the story. There are a total of 6 characters, but you can play at least 3 characters and a maximum of 5 characters for a more spontaneous game. Each character has varying levels of traits, which will be used in defeating enemies. You can use this to track the HP level of the character throughout the game. This is where you'll place the gold coin token, which is what you'll need in the end to turn the boss card. For this demo, let's say we have 3 players in the game. Each character cards have a corresponding character dice. Just look for the dice that has the name of your character on it. The character dice represents the traits on the character card. For example, the actor card has 4 liksi, which is the yellow trait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 lakas, which is the red trait. 1, 2, 3. And 1 dunong, which is the blue trait. These are the character tokens or HP tokens, which will help in keeping track of the health points of the characters. The starting HP level depends on the number of players in the game. If there are 3 players, the starting HP will be 15. If there are 4 players, the starting HP will be 12. If there are 5 players, the starting HP will be 10. Since we have 3 players for the demo, we have 15 HP as our character's starting health points. These are the chapter tokens, which will represent the traits of the enemies. This is the chapter dice. And these are the gold coin tokens. The boss card will require each character to have 1 gold coin by the end of the game to be able to turn the boss card. So we'll be needing 3 gold coins to turn the boss card because we have 3 players. To start the game, the players must decide as a group which player will turn the chapter card. Once the players have decided, the chosen player will turn the chapter card and must read all the text on the card out loud for all players to hear to set the scene of the chapter. At the bottom of the card is the task you'll need to do to complete the card, which in this case requires each player to get 1 item card each. These are the item cards. You can read on the card what you can do with the items, how and when to use them, and for how long you can use them. Take note that every time you draw item cards, you must first decide as a group who will get what item before you can actually use them. Each player can only carry a maximum of 2 items. This means 1 item on each hand of the character, so you must strategize and decide as a group which items to use and which items to discard. Now to turn the next chapter card, again decide as a group who will turn the card. The next chapter card is now a combat card. This means you've encountered a malevolent creature that you must now defeat before going to the next chapter card. At the bottom, you will see the traits of the creature. At the bottom right is the amount of damage the creature can inflict on the players, and a gold coin symbol, which means you can get a gold coin once you defeat this enemy. To start combat, place the chapter tokens that correspond to the traits of the creature at the bottom of the card. In this case, place one Dunong token and one Liksi token here. This symbol means you'll have to add extra traits to the enemy by making each player roll the chapter dice once. So in this case, we'll roll the chapter dice 3 times because we have 3 players. The traits rolled by each player will be added to the enemy's traits. The goal here is to remove these chapter tokens during combat. The players can do that by rolling their dice and match the traits displayed. Combat consists of 2 simple steps per round: attack and defend. Round 1. For attack, players can attack the creature by rolling their character dice. Their dice must match the traits of the enemy that are displayed. So in this case, we got 1 Lakas, 1 Liksi, and 1 Dunong. The players can remove the traits of the enemy that matched these dice rolls. Okay, that's the end of the player's attacks for this round. If there are traits left, this means the enemy is still alive and will attack the players back. It will now inflict a 3-point damage to the players. Now for defense. Players can defend themselves from the enemy's attack if they have rolled a double with a shield symbol, or if they have an item card that can protect them from damages. But since all players have neither, they will lose 3 HPs each. Track your character's health using the character card and HP token. Round 2. Again, players just roll their dice and must match the enemy's trait to score a hit on the enemy. So we got 1 Dunong, 1 Liksi, and a double Dunong. This double trait is also a shield or block, which means the player who rolled it can block the enemy's attack that round. Okay, so we remove the traits that matched the dice rolls. And since we've successfully removed all traits now, this means the enemy has been defeated. Remember, every time you defeat an enemy in a combat, you can draw 1 item card. Take note that you can only draw 1 item card regardless of how many players there are or how many enemies were defeated in that combat. We got the gold coin symbol here, so we can choose if we get an item or a gold coin. In the next chapter, you encounter a duende. It's not a combat card, but it's a challenge nonetheless. Don't forget to read the texts on the card out loud to the other players to set the scene. It says here that each player must roll their dice and must get a double. Otherwise, the duende will take their items away. Okay, no one got a double, which means all players lose all their items to the duende. All discarded items are placed here on the right side of the item deck. Next, we encounter the Gitam, and it's another combat card. After reading the texts out loud, you see over here there's a combat special. Combat specials are special capabilities of the enemy which makes them more tricky and challenging to defeat. Here it says that after 3 rounds of combat, the Gitam will summon a giant python which the player with the highest Liksi must defeat first before players can attack on the Gitam again. At the bottom are the traits of the Gitam. And here's the trait of the python. The python has a 2-point damage infliction on the players. Now let's put all traits of the enemy in place, plus the additional traits by making all 3 players roll the chapter dice. Round 1. All players can now roll their dice to attack. We got one lakas here, a double lakas, and a double liksi. So we remove those traits that matched. Because the enemy still has a trait left, it's still alive and will attack back. All the players who rolled a double can block the attack. Round 2. Okay, we got a Dunong, which is what we need to finally defeat the Gitam. We got the gold coin symbol here, so we can choose if we get an item or a gold coin. Let's choose the item since we don't have any items left. We get the Amenicable relic, which gives the player the ability to roll the dice again if they rolled a liksi. As a group, choose who will get the item. Let's give this to the actor since he got the highest liksi in his traits, which means he's the most likely to roll a liksi among other players. Next chapter, we get a wild card. Here we get to choose between getting full HP levels for each player, replace our current items with new items, get 2 gold coins, or discard the wild card if we don't need any of those. Let's choose the full HPs cause we need more health points. Okay, on to the next chapter. Don't forget to choose among the players who will turn the next chapter card. In the next card, we get the Manananggal. It says here in the combat special that all players can attack the Manananggal, but only the player or players with the lowest HP will take damage from the creature. But since all players have the same HP levels now, it says here that the player who turned the card with a bolded U will take the damage. So let's say the Dalubhasa was the one who turned the card, so that player will be the only one to take damage when the Manananggal attacks. Let's now place the Manananggal traits here. Round 1. Alright, we got all doubles. Double Dunong, double Lakas, and another double Dunong. Okay, since the Manananggal has traits left, it's still alive and will attack back. But since the Dalubhasa rolled a double, he won't be getting any damages in this round. Round 2. Alright, we got 2 Lixi, which is what we need to defeat the enemy. The enemy defeated has a gold coin, so this means we can choose if we get an item card or a gold coin after combat. Let's choose the item card because we need more items. Okay, so we got Idianali Relic, which gives us a reroll if the player rolls a Dunong. Again, as a group, choose who will get this item. You can also exchange or discard items if you want, but you can only do this before turning the next chapter card. Let's give the Idianali Relic to the Dalubhasa because he has more Dunong in his traits. On the next chapter, we encounter the Bulalakaw. The Bulalakaw's combat special is, due to the intense heat from its tail, all lakas and blocks will not count in the first 2 rounds of combat. So round 1. We got 2 Lixi and a double Dunong. But since we can't use any blocks for the first 2 rounds, the player who rolled the double won't be able to block any damage, which means all players lose 3 HPs. Round 2. We got 2 lakas and 1 liksi. But since any lakas will not count in the first 2 rounds, we won't be removing any traits from the bulalakaw. The bulalakaw attacks for this round. Round 3. Alright, we got a double lakas. The bulalakaw is now defeated. We can choose if we get an item or a gold coin. Let's choose the item card again. We got the anting-anting, which reduces damage intake by 1 point. We can give this item to the driver, or to any player with a low HP. Okay, for the next chapter, let's say we choose the driver to turn the card this time. We encounter bangungot. It says here the players must roll their dice and must get at least 2 dunong. It doesn't have to be a double dunong. It can also be 2 single dunong. Otherwise, all players won't be able to rest in the next combat. We'll demonstrate resting later if we get the chance. Okay, so we got 2 dunong here because of the double dunong. This means all players can rest in the next chapter. Next chapter, we get the creepy daligmata. The daligmata has a combat special that makes him invisible every 2 rounds, and only the player or players with the highest dunong can see and attack him. It also says here that during the round where the daligmata is invisible, other players cannot rest and can still take damage from the creature. This means that every 2 rounds, only the dalubhasa can attack the enemy. Okay, so let's put the chapter tokens in place to start the combat. Round 1. Remove the traits that match the dice rolls. Okay, so here, the actor rolled a liksi. Remember that the actor has an item that grants him a reroll whenever he rolls a liksi. Then he can choose which of those 2 rolls to use. Okay, so we got liksi again. But we won't be able to get another chance to roll because we've already used that chance. Round 2. Remember that every 2 rounds, only the player with the highest dunong can attack the daligmata, but the other players cannot rest and will still take damage when the enemy attacks that round. Okay, so we got a double liksi, which is what we need to defeat the enemy. Since it's a combat with a gold coin symbol on the card, we can also choose if we get an item card or gold coin. Let's go with the item card again. We got Kalasag ni Lapu-Lapu, which reduces the damage intake of the player by 2 points. You can also see here that it's a 2-handed item. You must not carry this item with anything else, because players can only carry a maximum of 2 items. Okay, so let's give this to the actor and give the Amanikabe relic to the dalubhasa, since the dalubhasa has high level of dunong and liksi traits. Okay, so we move on to the next chapter. We encounter the markupo. Don't forget to read the text out loud for all players to hear. So let's set up all the traits here, then we can begin combat for round 1. Okay, so we got a double dunong, 1 dunong, and a double lakas. There are still traits left, so the markupo is still alive and will attack back. Only the driver has not rolled a double, so he will be the only one to take damage from the enemy. The driver, however, has an item that reduces his damage intake by 1 point. So instead of a 3-point damage, the driver will only take a 2-point damage. Now for the next round. Before starting the next round, the players can choose who among them can rest for the next round. Only one player can rest, and that player will gain 1 HP per round he rests. Let's choose the driver as the one who can rest this next round. To rest, the player must flip the character card. You see here that the player cannot attack, cannot take damage, and cannot use his items while at rest. Other players cannot use the resting player's items as well. The resting player can choose to rejoin combat at the start of any round he chooses. So here it says you can gain 1 health point per round. You can also use this to track your HP gain in every round you rest. Also, you must place your item cards underneath the character card to prevent them from being used while you rest. Okay, so if the driver chooses to rest for this round, we'll add 1 HP to his health. Let's proceed now to round 2. So in this round, only the actor and the dalubhasa can roll their dice and attack the enemy. We got 2 dunong, but we need a liksi to defeat the enemy. We can use the Idianali relic of the dalubhasa, which gives him the chance to reroll and choose between those rolls to apply. Okay, we got 1 lakas. That's too bad. Now it's the Markupo's turn to attack, and since no one got a double, the players will take damage from the creature, except for the driver who is resting. The actor has an item here that reduces his damage intake by 2 points, so he'll lose 1 HP instead of 3, while the dalubhasa loses a whole 3 points. Now for round 3. Again, only the players who are not resting can roll their dice to attack. Okay, so we got 2 liksi. The Markupo is now defeated. Because the combat is over, the resting player can stop resting. Also, because there's a gold symbol on the Markupo card, we can choose again if we get an item card or a gold coin. This time, we can get the gold coin token. On to the next chapter. We encounter an abandoned hut. Don't forget to read the texts out loud. It says here the players can get 1 item each. It also has a half moon symbol, which means this is an opportunity to sleep and gain HP. Unlike resting, which only one player can do at a time and gain 1 HP per round they rest, sleeping can give players 3 HPs every time they choose to sleep, and can be done by all players at the same time. Take note, sleeping must be done by all players at the same time because this represents the end of the day. Sleeping can be done only after you've completed the chapter with a half moon symbol. Players can only sleep twice in the entire game. You can use the scenery board to track how many times all of you have slept. Sleep once, this will turn into day 2. Sleep twice, and this will turn into day 3. Again, players can only sleep 2 times in the entire game. Now let's use this opportunity to sleep before turning the boss card. All players now gain 3 HPs each. Okay, so I forgot to draw items before the sleeping, my bad. Anyway, now we got 3 more items. Again, strategize as a group which will be more useful for you, as you are only allowed 2 items per player. Alright, so if the items are now settled, we can now proceed to the final card, the boss card. Here it says all players need to have a gold coin token to turn the card. So we need to place 3 coins here, 1 for each player. The driver and the actor already has 1 coin each, so we need 1 more for the dalubhasa. It says here on the boss card, in the case that we don't have enough coins upon reaching the end, we must add 3 more chapter cards, and these new chapter cards will give us 1 gold coin, each card we overcome. Take note that you must add 3 chapter cards regardless of how many gold coins you still need. Even if we only need 1 coin, we still need to add 3 cards. In some case, if you still need 4 or 5 gold coins, you will need to add 3 cards the second time. It also says here we also add 3 HP for each player.